All right. Welcome to Knicks Film School post-game live stream. Very, very, well, sobering? Sobering. I don't know if that's the right word. A lot of things that you want to be after that game. Sober ain't one of them. The Knicks lose 112-99 to the Atlanta Hawks at home. Final score that does not even begin to encapsulate the level of embarrassment that this team should feel. I'm going to get right to it, and I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. This to me felt like an everything on the table type of game. And what I mean by that is, so start off the year, lots of good vibes coming out of camp. Vibes immaculate, right? Immaculate vibes around the team. Brunson and quality depth and the whole thing. And there was a lot of that floating around. Nice 3-game win streak. You took care of business. Beat teams you need to beat. Okay. Went on the road. Lost to Milwaukee. No shame in that whatsoever. Go to Cleveland. A little bit more worrisome. Okay, fine. 2 in a row. Come back home. You're favored. You're favored against the Hawks. That's the ambulance going by. That's someone should check. Is Tom Thibodeau in that ambulance? I think he might have had a coronary after that. Wonder what happens when he wakes up, if he still has a job. Come home to Atlanta. You're favored in this game, right? And there's various win predictions for the Knicks this year. Some people had him maybe a little lower, 38, 39, 40 wins. Some people a little higher, 42, 43. There was some really ambitious folks up in the 45, 46 win range. For any of those possibilities to take place, the Knicks had to win a certain number of games against teams in the middle of the league. And the middle of the league is really big. And that was always going to be the question, I think, surrounding this team, because the middle of the league and Atlanta, I don't know, is Atlanta the 16th best team in the league, or they're the 14th, or they're the 18th best team? Whatever. They're somewhere in that range. The middle of the league is chock full of really good players at the tops of those teams. Again, think about it for a second. The 2 teams that just beat the Knicks, Cleveland and Atlanta, were almost universally picked throughout basketball, media, to finish 7th and 8th in the Eastern Conference. And each of those 2 teams, and they didn't even get Cleveland with Garland, they only got them with Mitchell. Each of those 2 teams have 2 players in the backcourt that are better than anyone on the Knicks. And I say that with all due respect to Jalen Brunson, but Jalen Brunson isn't quite at the level of any of those guys. He's close. Probably you could make an argument maybe for Murray as an offensive player, but defensively, as we saw tonight from DeJounte Murray, defensively is, kind of an equalizer. So the Knicks don't have that caliber of player. So this season, if it was going to go well, was always going to be about the whole being greater than the sum of the parts. And that means Tibbs. Tom Thibodeau's man I've defended a lot. Defended him through 17 losses in 20 games last year. Defended him through Julius Randle looking like he just didn't really have any interest in winning basketball. Defended him through the whole Kemba thing. Defended him through a lot because I felt it was a tough situation last year with Randle in particular and Kemba. And it just, it wasn't really, I felt like I owed it to him. Well, Tom, tonight, not so good. Not so good. Your value, right, in the way that you coach, his value is that he gets it's the high floor, right? You're getting the high floor. And at the expense of potentially some more outside the box decisions that might get you a higher ceiling. Whether that's playing young players, whether that's, variation of schemes, whether that's maybe a little bit more of a creative offense, whatever you want to say, Obi and Randall playing together, something like that, all kinds of things. You don't get a lot of that, but that's the reward for that is supposed to be a modicum of competence pretty much every night. Now, you could go back through last season and say, well, if last season wasn't an indication that you weren't going to get that from a Thibodeau coach team, what was? I think you could even look at last year and be like, yeah, but you know what? The bench came in. They were the best bench in the league, arguably. And if you take Kemba's minutes away and you just look at the minutes played by the Burks-led groups, they played even, through over 400 minutes. Like you could point to things, right? You could point to things, and a loss like this, where this team went up 23 points in the second quarter and then absolutely looked disjointed, disorganized, disinterested at times. Like, it wasn't I'm not gonna say this was like a Fizdalian just lay down and take it effort. Like, they were, still trying. But oh boy, any kind of positive process that we were happy about or hopeful about after the first several games dissipated, evaporated into thin air. And in the face of that, right, as it was happening in the second quarter, okay, fine. Time to bring the starters back in. It was a 23-point lead, got cut down to 17. All right, you want to bring the starters back in? Fine. Lead went down to 6 at halftime. And what happens out of the gate? Complete evaporation. I said on both our shout out to all of our patrons, and shout out to our friends, by the way, at WynnBET. Perfect time to get that logo up there on the screen, Andrew. Thank you. Shout out to our friends at WynnBET. If I was smart, I would have taken my own advice at halftime. I said this on the playback, and I said this on the halftime Zoom. I said I should have gone to WynnBET and slammed the money line for the Hawks, because I said that at the time. I said I would hit that money line so hard, even with the Knicks up 6 at home. Absolutely zero confidence that they were going to come out in the third quarter and turn the game around based on how they finished the second quarter. I don't know if I figured it was going to be a blowout, but I knew the way this game was going. And the only reason I wasn't sure it was going to be a blowout is I thought maybe the bench would get them back into it. But the bench, didn't have it tonight. They're allowed. And the fact that we were able to so confidently predict how this game was going to go 7 games into this season. This is the sort of loss that if you see at game 27, it's concerning. To see this loss at game 7 at home in a game you really do need to, like, they need, I know it's early, they needed this game. Look at the schedule coming up. Look at what's ahead of them. To come out with that, it's an utter embarrassment, and I'll get back to how I started, and then we'll go to the Super Chats. It's an everything on the table game. You want to tell me this is the beginning of the end for Tibbs? His seat is as hot as it has been at any time as a Knicks coach? Absolutely fair. You want to tell me that this roster is functionally flawed? I wrote about that today for the Knicks Film School newsletter, about how in Julius Randle and RJ Barrett, you have 2 players who have played more minutes together than any 2 Knicks since almost the turn of the century, since almost the year 2000. You have to go back to Allen Houston and Kurt Thomas to find 2 Knicks who have played, like, they're the most recent duo that has played more minutes together. They played their last game together, I believe, in 2005. That's how many minutes Julius Randle and RJ Barrett have played together. What indication have we gotten that these 2 players are even remotely good fits with one another? They tonight, of course, by the way, I misspoke. RJ got his 20. So obviously RJ didn't have a bad game. Can't have a bad game and get 20 points. 20. You know how hard it is to score 20 points in an NBA game? Yeah. RJ Barrett, 7 of 17 from the field. Julius Randle, 4 of 12 from the field. Julius Randle missed all 4 of his threes. The Knicks are a team that, again, you want to tell me tear down this roster, it's not worth saving because you got a starting center who doesn't shoot outside of 4 feet from the basket. You got a power forward who can't seem to make any threes anymore. You got a starting wing, who is, let's say, inconsistent at best from deep. But even assume, he starts getting it going. And then we haven't even mentioned Evan Fournier. Evan Fournier, shout out to him thanks for showing up, Evan. 1 for 6 from the field. Talk about a guy who's playing like he's already on his next NBA team. Thank you, Andrew, for putting up the box score. Actually, this is painful to look at. Can we please get this the hell out of here? Yeah, I mean, it's just not a functional team. And like Jalen Brunson can only do so much. But as I was saying towards the end of the play block, like Jalen Brunson is not Luka Doncic. Jalen Brunson is not LeBron James. Jalen Brunson is not Steph Curry. He cannot single-handedly prop up a roster that has, and specifically a starting unit that has these sorts of flaws. And, I hate to go back to it. I really hope we don't have to keep fucking talking about this. And it's my own fault because I'm going to bring it up. There is a reason why this front office was ready to overhaul things to such a degree to get Donovan Mitchell, even knowing that it was probably not the right move. Just because I have to think that there are smart enough people there to know that this thing was not potentially going to go well. And it's why, and people could get mad at me and say I hate Julius Randle, and that's fine. It's not personal. There's a reason why I stood up and repeatedly during the offseason. It's like the team is not functional with this many guys who like to play inside the basket. And again, I'm not blaming this loss completely on how they're built, but it matters. It all matters. Absolutely disheartening loss in every way, shape, or form. I'm prepared for anything tonight. You want to tell me, go tank for Victor again? And they're 3-4, right? They're 3-4. Doom, too early for doom and gloom, right? Too early for doom and gloom at 3-4. I tweeted it out before. I've been watching this fucking team a long time. I know some of the people watching right now and listening have as well. Sometimes you just get a sense. I got a sense tonight, and it's not a good sense. I hope I'm wrong. I hope people could throw this back in my face if they start pulling. Maybe they win on Friday night. Maybe they start pulling some games out. They pull it together. Their culture gets tested, and they come out better off for it. I don't see it. Not one bit. And if you're a fan out there, and I'll end with this, and then we'll get to the Super Chats. If you're a fan out there who tonight is the night, you're like, yeah, okay, I gave it 7 games. How high up in the lottery standings can we get? I'm not going to blame you one bit. 7 games. That's how I'm feeling tonight after that fucking loss. They earned it. Okay, let's get to the comments. Danny Gardner, what's going on, Danny? Happy to hear from you. This was by far Tibbs' worst coach game of the season. I thought you were going to say of his tenure as a Knicks coach. I wouldn't even blame you for that. Put Grimes in for 5 minutes, playing Randle in the fourth at all. Evan Fournier in the second half. Make it make sense. I wish I could. I mean, the way to make it make sense, and also this additional one from Danny Gardner, and thank you, Danny, for the generous comments or generous contributions and comments. Also, RJ has to touch the ball more with the starters. He basically went on a 6-0 run himself in the third and didn't touch the ball for 5 straight possessions. Can't happen. Look, I know the run. I think I know the run you're talking about. But if I recall correctly, he had, because RJ had, he had a nice little run there in the third quarter when it was when the Knicks went from 67 to 71. He then had 2 of the more atrocious turnovers you'll ever see. Like, I can't get fully on board the, like, RJ is the answer train when I'm staring at 7 for 17. Did he shoot a free throw tonight? And again, that's not all on him. That's part of the usage. That's part of how they're using him in this offense. Shot 1 free throw. Yeah, he got an and 1. So good for him. Like, you want to tell me there's a world where RJ should be getting all kinds of possessions? Okay. It's a world where he is surrounded by 4 shooters. Maybe then that works. And that's your path. But and you want to tell me that's the direction the team should go? They've invested in him and the whole thing. I mean, okay, I'm here for that. As far as everything else that you said about the worst game Tibbs has coached this season, the way I could make it make sense is he thinks that everything regresses to the mean. And he thinks, well, the starters they were bad, but they're still my best guys. And I believe that they're my best guys because I've watched the tape and I know what they could do and I know what the bench guys can't do. And I trust the process. And so I will trust the process until I guess I don't have a job anymore. I think that is his philosophy. And if you want to say that there's like a complete lack of feel in that approach, that's fair. That's completely fair. And I think we saw that bear out last year. The more frustrating part now, and this definitely started last year, is you have, in not only Emmanuel Quickly, but also Quentin Grimes. And I'll even give him a pass on Grimes because it was Grimes' first game back. He hasn't practiced with the team, a full court practice, probably that much, maybe one day of practice. I'll give him a pass there. I'm not going to kill him for like not playing Grimes more. I think that's just a temporary thing. But the Quickly part of it, he's just a better player than Evan Fournier at this point. And look, I know he played more minutes. I know he played more minutes than Fournier. And then there's the Obi part of it. And that gets into, that's a lot of Tibbs for sure, but that's also the front office. The fact that they did not move on from Randall and they extended him for the most money they could. And if he's here, he's going to play a certain amount of minutes. And you want to tell me, okay, there's still a lot of time you could play them together. Well, then don't invest $25 million a year at the center position. Excuse me, $28 million a year at the center position. I forgot about Jericho Sims. A lot of people's fault. But Tibbs absolutely should be number one on the list. I thought he coached a terrible game. Haitian Ferg, what's going on? This is on the front office. Haitian Ferg, always speaking my language. Let me read the rest of the comment, and then I have a thought. The zone defense will expose this roster. Randall and RJ are hit and miss. There was nothing Tibbs could have done tonight. No defensive intensity, no ball movement, and a lot of stagnant play. Well, hold on, because that is all on Tibbs. And again, I'm the one who defends the man. I defend them up and down, every which way. If your team lacks defensive intensity and they lack ball movement and they lack stagnant play, or they are producing stagnant play, and I agree with all of those things, that is a reflection on the coach. Because, I am where I always get uncomfortable with Tibbs is being like, oh, the X's and O's are wrong, or like the substitutions are wrong, because there's a certain amount of hindsight as 2020 involved in that stuff. And he does have more information. I will always go back to that. He always has more information than we do. And so you never know for sure, right? You never know for sure, although it sure did seem like a lot last year. Anyway, I digress. The lack of ball movement, the lack of defensive intensity, just again, being very stagnant. I'm using your words because they're the right words to use. That's just, are you responding or not? And again, we're talking, it's the 7th game of the year. They had 2 days off. They had 2 days off, and they're coming home into their own building. And we're talking about defensive intensity and practicing what you preached in training camp as far as moving the ball. Come on. That's ridiculous. That being said, the front office, I think they had a good summer. I'll say this. I think the front office had a good summer. I think Hartenstein was a good move. Brunson, good move. If you look back at what they did the summer before that, extending Randall, signing Evan Fournier to a 4-year, $72 million contract. You want to call it 3 for 51 because, or whatever, 3 for 52 because of the last year's non-guaranteed. That's fine. Still, Kemba Walker. How's the Derrick Rose extension aging? Nerlens Noel? Alec Burks might be the best signing you made that summer. That's saying something. Anthony Sixto, what's going on, Anthony? This one is concerning. Got to win these. They weren't close. They were losing by 20. Wasn't going to get on Tibbs until he subbed Grimes late as he did. Evil Tibbs put his signature on this loss. I just don't think he trusts Grimes as much as there is zero part of me that is worried about Quentin Grimes getting minutes for this team. Quentin Grimes is going to get minutes. It didn't happen tonight. Would Quentin Grimes have made the difference tonight? I personally don't think so. This is from Tom, courtesy of Knicks Videos, SNY Knicks. No matter what happens, we're not going to be perfect. We're going to make some mistakes. Just don't quit on a play. You can make a mistake and go back and get it back, and go hustle and get it back. That's the mentality we want to have. Implication being they quit on some plays tonight. Robert Cross was waiting for this. Is it fair and reasonable to say that the makeup of this team and the coach are a poor fit? If so, how long before a move is forced? Hashtag 53 wins. I have a feeling you're going to be out on the 53 wins pretty soon this year. Fine. Tom Thibodeau gets fired tonight. Johnny Bryant's your coach. Or whoever. I don't know who you want as coach. What's he doing? What's he doing? Is he bringing Randall off the bench? I guess, okay, fine. You want to bring Fournier? I think Fournier is going to come off the bench before long anyway. I think there will be a change to the starting lineup if this thing goes in the direction I think it's going to go. And I think that'll happen before Tibbs loses his job. So I don't think you're going to need to get Tibbs fired to do that. I mean, you're starting power forward, the guy who, obscene to say it now. The guy who was a second-team All-NBA player 2 years ago was 4 for 12. You're going to look up on my favorite website, Cleaning the Glass. You're going to look up tomorrow, and you're going to see where his points per 100 shot attempts ranks amongst big men in the league. And my guess is it's probably going to be around the second or third percentile. Like, what is Johnny Bryant supposed to do about that? I mean, okay, you want to tell me bench Mitch, start Isaiah Hartenstein. Well, Mitch is your boy, Robert. So I don't know if you want to do that, but you got to get some spacing in the starting five. So, okay, maybe start Hartenstein, space the floor some more. Like, these are very real structural issues, which is why the path for this team was always going to be get back to being a top 10 defense, hopefully more like a top 7, top 8 defense. And I still think they're capable of that, by the way. And then you sneak into the top 20 in offense, 19, 18, something like that. It's just, you got to play really hard and you got to execute. And ideally, you got to hit some shots sometimes. And they're just not into any of those things tonight. And they certainly haven't hit enough shots this year. You're paying guys a lot of money to hit shots. Got to start hitting them. Build through Taj. Great name. The players all stunk tonight, but that shouldn't distract from the fact that major changes need to happen soon before this spirals, starting with Tibbs. Again, I'm not saying the man should keep his job for eternity. Again, I said everything's on the table. I would just caution anybody who thinks a coaching change is going to make this team better. Because I said it over the summer, after the Brunson signing and after they didn't end up with Mitchell. Someone asked me on Twitter, how many rosters in the NBA would you trade the Knicks roster for? And that's in consideration of present talent, future, yes, the Knicks are probably better than Orlando this year, but Orlando also has a number 1 pick in Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner and some other interesting young talents. And I really had to think about it. I'm I don't know. Are there 5 rosters in the league that I would, the other way around. Are there 25 rosters in the league I would trade the Knicks roster for? 24, 23, 26, 27. It's not as much a talent discrepancy or a talent deficiency, excuse me. It's not as much a talent deficiency as it is in addition to a lack of top end talent. Again, it's a fit issue. It's a fit issue. And I don't know how Johnny Bryant or any other coach for that matter is supposed to change that much. I mean, again, you could do things to help. You could switch it up. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I have a feeling you may get your answer. Kevin Danishevsky, what's going on, Kev? Well, that was fun. Man, was Julius atrocious. I did not care for Julius's game. I'll just say that. Is that the worst contract in the league? Speaking of contract, Tibbs might be terminated soon. Chris, look at this. Chris Persianen asked Tom Thibodeau post-game if anything specific went into the decision to bring in Rose as the team's first substitute over his usual choice of Quickly. He said, no, we wanted to get a look at it. Well, you got to look. Rose, man. Not looking great right now. Is Julius Randle the worst contract in the league? I think you could argue Ben Simmons is in the, well, again, it's how do you grade this stuff? Like Russell Westbrook is a very bad contract, but it's 1 year. It's expiring. Ben Simmons has, what does Ben Simmons have? 3 years left? That's looking pretty bad. No, but here's the thing. Here's why I don't think Julius Randle's the worst contract in the league. I can't believe. Thank you, Andrew. Andrew just texted me. Cavs win in overtime. I know. I have it on the television. I don't want to go down that road tonight. I don't have the strength. If you sent Julius Randle to a team where he was going to be the sixth man and essentially play a glorified version or the exact version of the role he played in New Orleans, and he was a sixth man and he was playing 25 minutes a game off the bench, where he was spending all of those minutes either as the five or alongside a nominal stretch big. Doesn't even need to be a real rim protector, because again, a lot of those minutes are coming against backups, and he is like a more dynamic, well, not more dynamic, I was going to say more dynamic version of Kevin Love. Kevin Love could hit threes, but like basically the inside out version of Kevin Love, where he's doing everything at the rim, inside the paint, and you get that version of him that we saw in New Orleans, that we saw last year in LA, and he has the spacing around him. All right, you're paying him, what is he getting paid? 20, 27, 28, $29 million a year. Is it an overpay? Yeah. Can that dude help you win games? Absolutely. Absolutely, that dude can help you win games. But that's not the role he's ever going to inhabit here, because they don't have anywhere near that type of roster. It's the problem. One of many problems. Forgotten NYC, what's going on, man? Knicks committing $350 million to 3 non-All-Stars is bad. I think each of those contracts need to be looked at individually. We just talked about Randall's. RJ, look, he needs to defend better. He needs to make threes. If he does those two things and he attacks closeouts, it starts getting to the line more. Like, I'm not worried about that. Brunson, I think, is a good deal, and I think Brunson will continue to be looked at as a good deal. Brunson's so good. And if they didn't have Brunson, they would be, I am convinced if they didn't have Jalen Brunson, I'm convinced that they would be 1 and, how many games they played? 7? I'm convinced that they would be 1-6 right now if they didn't have Jalen Brunson. Also, can't wait for Tibbs to be fired. Can't wait. Yeah, I mean, look, people are going to be celebrating. It's going to happen at some point, and people are going to be celebrating. And, I'll be as curious as anyone to see what happens after he gets fired. Again, I think you can point to him as a part of the problem, and probably the biggest problem tonight, 1,000%. I would just caution against thinking that firing him is going to turn around the fortunes of this team. That would be my caution. Chris Carter, what will it take for Rose to fire this coach? It's a good question. I don't think he'd do it. I don't think he'd do it until, I don't know, 20 games or so. I mean, if things get bad. I mean, Fizdale was fired after what? 22 games? Julius was asked what the difference was between the Knicks in the first half and the second half. His answer, I got to look at the tape. You do that, man. Yeah, I mean, their schedule is brutal. I don't know if you're asking me, like, what would their record have to be? I don't know. Like, I don't think there's going to be like a mutiny or anything. I don't think you're going to, maybe you'll start to hear some whispers about guys not happy with the approach. I might have heard a little something recently. But like, they have a 5-game swing starting November 15th at Utah, at Denver, at Golden State, at Phoenix, at Oklahoma City. And then they come home and they play Portland and Memphis. And that takes them to game 20. They got a little bit of a break after the Brooklyn game next week. They play Detroit at home and Oklahoma City at home. We speculated about this, I think, on the last episode or one of the last episodes before the season started. Like, if he's 6-14, does he get fired? If he's 5-15, does he get fired? Like, I think in that range, you're looking at it. I think you're looking at it around there. But again, they only get one. This front office is probably only going to get you're only guaranteed one coach fire as a front office. So when do they want to use it? Robert Cross, what's going on? First time, long time, John. Second half volleys aside, what is the point of not playing Obi 25 plus minutes at this juncture? Hashtag 53 wins. I don't know. I think they should play him 25 minutes. It's a functional change in how you play. They value Randall's ability to draw the attention of defenses. And I think there is a question about with Jalen Brunson here, and if you want to give RJ the load he had over the second, 3.5 months of last season, do you necessarily need Randall to be doing that as much? Because injecting RJ into that, injecting Obi into that spot, it just changes how you play, because then that's one less guy on the floor that is going to be able to detract or attract attention in the traditional way. Now, he attracts attention in other ways. And it would, they would need to embrace that. And as I said on the playback tonight, I'm not sure they have the personnel. In fact, I know they don't have the personnel to perfectly exploit Toppin's skill set. But, especially against opposing team starters, good opposing team starters. But yeah, you should be playing more at this point. Like, Randall's not getting any more tradable. Randall's not getting any more tradable. You gotta that ship has sailed. Guy Huber, then I tried, man. I really did. Fire Tibbs, make trades. Yeah, look, a lot of fire. There'll be a lot of fire Tibbs tonight. Could be a lot of fire Tibbs tonight. It's bad night for him. Matt Smith. This roster was constructed very poorly, which you already knew, and the coaching has not been nearly good enough to mask the deficiencies. I don't know where to go from here, but I'm very worried about RJ. I feel like I don't want to repeat myself. I feel like I talked about this a lot on opening night, and I don't really know what else to say other than I think your worry level about RJ is directly related to your expectations for RJ. And my expectations were not very high. And so what I'm seeing is like, okay, he hasn't fallen flat on his face, other than the missed threes over the first 5 games. I don't even know, what did he make from 3 tonight? Did he make? It felt like he made a couple threes tonight. I'll look it up. So like, yeah, he was 2 of 6 from deep. All right, it's fine. It's not great. It's fine. I'll say it again. There's a reason that they were willing to ship this guy to Utah without a second thought. Zero hesitation. Rob DeLusma. Sup, fellas? Awful. And I want a new head coach. Mad love to the Knicks fam. Yeah, anyone who wants a new head coach, totally fine. Who knows? Maybe Johnny Bryant, lights a spark, and they all, it just starts working. A parish dugger. Tibbs is horrible. Obi sat for 74 minutes between playing. So must be like 74 minutes of like real minutes, not like game minutes. I don't know. I'd have to check that. That seems like a lot. Look, I will just say this. For the first 20-ish minutes of this game, the Knicks were defending the Hawks as well as you could defend that team. And that's why you have Tibbs, right? You have Tibbs to instill a defensive scheme, to make sure your team executes the scheme, to make sure the scheme fits the opponent, all of that stuff. They were doing all of that. And they were executing on defense. And they were somewhat executing on offense. Mostly they were making shots. But they were certainly executing on defense. And the defense was very good. And then they kind of stopped executing on defense, and they stopped putting in the extra effort on defense, and they let this one get away from them because the onslaught started coming, and they weren't mentally strong enough to handle it. Now, theoretically, if you fire Tibbs, they'll still be instilled with all of those, defensive qualities, but I don't know. Will they be as good as that? Because that's their baseline. That's usually what keeps them in games. Didn't keep them in games tonight, though. So again, not blaming anybody for having that attitude tonight. Forgotten NYC. If things go south fairly quickly, is it clean house? I don't know what clean house would even look like other than firing the coach. Nobody wants Julius Randle. Nobody wants Evan Fournier. I mean, you want to fire the front office? I mean, I don't even know where yeah, that's not happening this year. So I don't know what, other than the coach, I don't know where you'd go with that. Ian Epstein, pissed off. No stars, no shooting. Zone in the third, killed them. Why no Mitch at the end? So deflating. No wing defense. I don't know if Mitchell Robinson at the end of the game was getting you. Again, like Mitchell Robinson is just, it's another spot on the floor that defenses don't have to pay attention to. And he's great at offensive rebounding, and he's obviously big time on the defensive end. And the Hawks definitely were getting their own offensive rebounds, which I think Mitch would have helped with, because Hartenstein is not good on the defensive glass. It's his one major weakness. I don't know. Maybe he would have made a little bit of a difference, but the Hawks this year, I cited it, I think, in today's newsletter. I'm pretty sure they've shot a greater percentage of long twos than any team in the league. Those are the shots they want to shoot. They shot a lot of those shots tonight. Johnny Murray shot a lot of those shots tonight. And guess what? They made them. Mitch isn't stopping that. And he's further cramping your spacing. As far as no wing defense, well, that's Quentin Grimes. And they need Quentin Grimes. But the fact that this team, Quentin Grimes is not the difference between you falling apart and like maintaining some semblance of competence, or at least you shouldn't be. If he is, then then again, if it wasn't for Grimes, maybe Donovan Mitchell would be here. Who knows? Manny Campos, what's going on? If this is the new Randall, I'm ready to see Obi. Yeah, good thought there. It's not great. CJ Cervantes, currently in Spain without the S. Amen to that. Matt Smith with another one. You are James Dolan, and the Knicks just lost their 7th straight to the Nets to go 3-8. What does your next 48 hours look like? I mean, I'm probably the wrong person to ask that question to, because I don't have as much faith in this front office as some other people do, despite the fact that I do think they had a nice summer in terms of Brunson and Hartenstein. Man, I don't know. I don't know what, if I, you know what I'd do? I'd sell the fucking team. That's what I'd do. I'd sell the team. I would put the team up for sale, and I would sell the team, and I would find a new racket. That's what I would do. There's your answer to that question. Sam Garcia, Julius Randle is an embarrassment. Yeah, I don't know. He's a guy that had one great season, and I think the expectations and the contract that came with that essentially may torpedo the rest of his career. It's unfortunate, and I'll go back to what I've said a few times. The right organizational move was to trade him when he had that hot start. You just drafted Obi Toppin. He got off to a great start. He was an expiring contract. If a team wanted him to be an expiring contract, he had another year. If a team wanted to keep him on the deal, he was a great asset. Not a good asset, a great asset. You could have gotten something good for him. And start Obi Toppin, start running the offense through RJ Barrett in his second season. The team, in all likelihood, would have been atrocious because they wouldn't have traded for Derrick Rose. And then that gets you to, I don't know where it gets you in the lottery. I mean, who knows? Maybe you don't get lucky. Maybe you end up with Jalen Suggs. But man, Wagner, Barnes, Mobley, Jalen Green, Cade Cunningham. That was the move. Forgotten NYC. Continuing the negativity, can we safely say the We Here year was a complete fluke? We have 3 other years of the same roster and no playoffs to show for it. It was a perfect storm, except in all the right ways. I think the empty gyms, we cannot boil it down enough to, I think, 2 things. One, the effect that Randall's ability to just make shots, it had such a trickle-down effect on the rest of the roster, and everything else flowed from there. And 2, if there was ever a season where you were going to see the value of Tom Thibodeau, where every other team in the midst of a pandemic, guys' attention was elsewhere, probably a lack of focus, probably a lack of game planning. Again, that was a very crazy time in the world, let alone the league. That's where Tom Thibodeau was going to shine, because amidst madness and the sky falling everywhere else, he's going to have you ready to play. And they were ready to play. And then, they got on a roll and they started to believe in themselves, and they won 9 games in a row late in the season. And that was their year right there. TK, Julius Randle, thank you for the contribution, TK. Julius Randle is a nightmare on the offense, on the cone on defense. To KFS, I will individually make you guys millionaires as long as Randle is here. That's how much hatred and needing to vent I have. Man, thank you for that sentiment. I feel a little bad because I think he came in this year and he really was trying to do things the right way, and we saw some reversion in the last couple games. Oh, this is Hush too. Hi, Hush. Saw some reversion last couple games. Tonight, I mean, he had a couple possessions there that were just just all the wrong things. All the wrong things. And the defensive effort was not what you wanted from him after the early stint. Tom Thibodeau said Mitchell Robinson is not hurt, and his 18 minutes were coach's decision. That was basically it. We were searching. I don't blame him. Bad eyesight. People are going to be bummed out about this loss, but if I'm Tibbs, this is the perfect chance to make a change in the starting lineup. Make the change. Do I think inserting Quickly or Grimes for Fournier will help? Yeah, for sure. I think it'll help. Is that going to be again, I don't like Fournier's best quality is his shooting. You're not going to convince me he's not the best shooter. I still think he's arguably the best shooter on the team. I know he won for 6 tonight. 1 for 6 tonight. I get that. I agree it's not worth leaving him in the starting lineup for because of just everything else. He just doesn't. Get him out of here. He doesn't belong on the team anymore. Is putting in Quickly or Grimes for Fournier gonna have Randall and RJ just be better offensive players, be more functional offensive players? I don't know. It'll help on defense. That's for sure. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe he makes a change. Nothing would shock me. Ignacio Lobregat. Thank you for what seems like a very, very generous contribution, although I don't know what the currency exchange rate is, but I will say thank you very much. Better coaching decisions would have saved the game in the third. I don't know about that. They got down by 20. I'm not, and it's again, let's just call a spade for as much as we're all killing Tibbs, rightly so. The bench didn't exactly come in and play inspired ball when they got a chance. Questionable once again, why Obi was pulled for Randall when Obi was contributing well in the middle of the game. Yeah, 100%. Leave Obi in. There was a 6-0 run. Tibbs got, and Randall was probably coming in anyway, but Obi had looked like the best player on the floor for his 8 minutes. And then there was a little 6-0 run, and the Atlanta starters were going to come back in, and Tibbs goes with the safety net because that's what he does. That's what Tibbs does. And when the safety net has a hole in it, it doesn't work as well. And that's a problem. And that's it's a problem. I wish I had something else to say. Rowan Beckford Sr., thank you, Rowan. I am at a loss. Tibbs continually takes out Obi when he's hot, especially when Randall is playing like doo-doo. Kills our and his momentum. And where's Mitch? Again, the Mitch thing, I think the fact that you're seeing these minute totals from Mitch is and Mitch started out the game great. He was awesome on defense. The fact that you're seeing these minute totals from Mitch is indicative of the fact that Tom Thibodeau, you could hate the man, it's fine. He's not as dumb as he might seem. He knows this team needs an injection of life and spacing on the offensive end. I don't. So I'm not going to get on him for that. The Obi Randall thing, again, he's going to continue to go to Randall because he feels like that is the first domino that gets them into their offense, and he's going to continue to trust Randall to either make shots or make good decisions. It has not worked out. And there was a play out of a timeout where it was a design play that ended up with Randall taking an above the break three. And it's just like, what the fuck are you doing? The man is shooting 16% at this point, or whatever it is, from three. And that's what you're going to come out of the timeout with? And there's an open shot, and like, I get it. If, is his philosophy, if you're open, shoot it. Like, the shots are going to go down. Trust that the shots are going to go down. Well, at some point, you got to, look at that. It's incredibly frustrating. It's incredibly frustrating. Frank Miranda, what's going on, Frank? Hey, Mac, it's your boy Frank from Patreon. Of course it is. I tried telling you this is a 36-win roster. You're looking awfully wise there, Frank. You're looking awfully wise. I think you might be a little high, though. The players will eventually check out on the ninth graders for Spida. This front office is a joke. I think actually it's, funny enough. Thank you for the contribution, Frank. I really do appreciate it. Again, it's not about the ninth graders for Spida. It's that they want to save the ninth graders to get maybe another star. The tonight's game, to me, if anything, was maybe an indication that they, it's a reminder of how far away they are, and would going all in for Donovan Mitchell have been wise? I don't know. I mean, if they have Donovan Mitchell in place of RJ Barrett, Quentin Grimes, and some draft picks, do they win this game tonight? Maybe. They definitely beat Cleveland. I know that. They definitely would have beat Cleveland. And, then they probably beat Memphis too. So, you know what? Who the hell knows? But, I mean, I just hope that if this thing goes again the way it looks like it might be going, and they do end up with a really good pick in this draft, I don't want this front office making that pick. Not even a little bit. Don't trust them. TK, I think this is Hush again. I have no comments on Fournier. Man, it was a bad signing. He was defensively wise and I think he'd be probably defensively bad. And Wally's comments was just wow, just in awe how bad our starters look. Yeah, they played like shit. Good job by Wally calling it out. Cameron Levy, I don't blame Tibbs for being an awful coach. We know what the fuck Tibbs is at this point, but the front office is worse for allowing this to continue. Definition of insanity. I said it over the summer. If you want to blame, if you're out on Tibbs and you think Tibbs is horrible and the whole thing, and you think his decisions to continue going with Randall and all of this, relying on the veterans and all of the stuff, you have to blame the front office. You have to blame the front office, and it showed you exactly where their priorities were and where their priorities remain. And it is what it is. Thanks, Cameron. Next up, SB Gorilla. So we didn't get Donovan Mitchell. We didn't even try to get DeJounte Murray. Damn, man. This burns. They should have just left the bench in. Better luck next game. Yeah, I wouldn't have brought the starters back in. Would not have brought the starters back in. TK, Hush with another one. Lastly, bringing in a legit point guard. I still see Randall holding the ball for 20 seconds doing stupid crossovers. Like, seriously? I don't know, J-Back. Talk me off the ledge. Tonight, it's not the you're tuning into the wrong place for my talk you off the ledge thing after this game. It's not like, oh, the Tibbs is going to get fired and Johnny Bryant's going to come in and fix everything. Nope. It's not, oh, they'll trade Randall at some point and like give the keys open. Nope. Because I don't know who wants them. It's they may stumble themselves into a very good lottery position. That's the best I could do with talking anybody off the ledge tonight. And again, it's 7 games. It's 7 games. It's less than 10% of the season. And I'm already like, Utah got off to a nice start this year. San Antonio got off to a nice start this year. Oklahoma City's won some games they probably shouldn't have won. Interesting. The Lakers are going to eventually win because they don't own their own draft pick. The Nets, as much of a dumpster fire as they are, they're going to eventually start to win some games because they don't own their own draft pick. Like, you look around the league, and people thought that the tank for WynnBET was going to start from day one. Hasn't happened. There's an opportunity there. Potentially. They may not even have to try for it. Yeah. Wombler. What's going on, Wombler? Thanks for the contribution. We beat ourselves. That sucked to watch. Yeah, they did beat themselves. Especially in the second quarter. They had this game. They were in control of this game. And they just pissed it away. And then they continued pissing it away in the third quarter. And then, the avalanche was on. He didn't lose it, but I can't watch Cam play anymore, even if a few of his shots fall. Love watching you guys. Thanks, Wombler. Appreciate it. Cam had I think he had a nice finish, if I recall correctly. That looked good. He was 2 of 5, made it 3. Okay, nice, great. Like, you want to talk about a guy who might age your tanking efforts? Give Cam Reddish 30 minutes a game and let that dude have carte blanche. There's your tank. Like, it's not playing quickly and topping because that's gonna make you pretty good. It's playing Cam Reddish a ton of minutes and giving him like the keys to the offense. There's your WynnBET move right there. Build through Taj. No amount of Claudio Manscaped ads will mask my pain. I don't know if I believe that.
I definitely was missing Smooth Sack Summer tonight. Tell you that much. I just am jumping in to reset for a second. First of all, as John mentioned toward the top of the show, shout out to our friends at WynnBET, our presenting sponsor. If you go to WynnBET.com now, or go and download the WynnBET app, you get a special offer. You bet 100, you get an additional 100 added to your deposit to play with. You can bet on all the sports, whether it be the NBA, go around the rest of the league. As John mentioned, the Cavaliers with Donovan Mitchell and the return of Darius Garland. They won in overtime at home, improving to 6-1 on the season. The Miami Heat won tonight at the buzzer, thanks to Tyler Hero. A whole bunch of other teams having more prosperous nights with some recent roster decisions that they've made. But you go to WynnBET.com and you can get it on the fun, better across sports as well, whether it be baseball, basketball, football, the NHL, college football, you name it. That's WynnBET.com. Download, bet, and win. And then one other thing, John.
Yes.
Apparently, Wally didn't call out the starters. What he did, and Hush might have been referring to something else. He said the best person to defend DeJounte Murray was Evan Fournier.
Oh, did he?
Yes, that is what the streets are saying. So
Listen, to each their own.
I disagree. Is what I will say. I will disagree with one Wally Zerbiak.
What was I just gonna? Yeah, if go over and take advantage of our friends at WynnBET. I'd be slamming. Man, I'd be slamming whoever the Knicks are playing for a while. This has the feel.
The stretch is bad. Yes.
This has a feel to it of what's about to come. And man, talk about a character test going into Philly on Friday night.
Whew. I'll just speak as part of the 45 win hive that I'm not feeling as confident as I was that 45 wins is the path. 45 losses might not even be the path. Like, this was, you said that we said this on playback that this felt a lot like last year, like the blowing the lead and then not being able to score. I don't know if you felt this, but I haven't seen them play that lethargic in the third quarter. Like there was a clear like talent issue last year, so it was different. This felt very Fizdalian. Like, I don't want to get too extreme, but it was like, oh wow, there's no hope, no matter who we put in the game. Was how I felt this entire second half, which is the only, I have to go back to Fizdale for the last time it felt like that.
How they allowed the Hawks to take it to them was unnerving.
Yeah,
very unnerving.
Yeah, I agree. Alrighty, next super chat.
Okay, D-Zilla, just an extremely demoralizing game. Been a Tibbs defender, but this is tough. Yeah, tough for anybody who's defended him. Not good. This team needs organizational stability, but can't lose games like this. One of the questions that I had coming into this year, and again, the vibes did seem really good for the most part. Even though, again, I'll go back to the comment that RJ made. I think his first, like, it was on content day or whatever the hell they did. I think Monica asked him, like, what are your thoughts on all of like what happened this summer with the trade rumors and this, whatever. And he was like, well, I'm here right now. It's not the way you want your supposed face of the, which is why the whole extension, the way it was announced, when it was announced, the accompanying news, all of the news that came out afterward. I mean, that was such an embarrassment. It was such an embarrassment, which is why I killed the front office for how that went down, even though I thought at the end of the day, like, you know what? It was probably too much given where this franchise is at right now. Because of what you're bringing up, D-Zilla, about the notion of organization. Like, how are you supposed to have organizational stability when literally every player on the roster outside of Jalen Brunson and I guess Isaiah Hartenstein knew that their name was bandied about in trade discussions over the summer? Every single player on the roster, their name was bandied about. And for some of them, it wasn't even like, oh, but we still value you. Like Evan Fournier, like Evan Fournier's playing like shit. He was the base, like he was gone. Like there was no consideration to like, oh, Evan Fournier is very valuable. We got to keep him. He won somebody Derrick Rose, maybe. Okay. He was safe. And I wondered the effect that was going to have. And I don't want to bring it up, but like, I'll go back with the Anthony Davis thing with the Lakers when the rumors started and then they didn't trade for him initially, and the effect that had on that Laker team when all those guys knew that they were like on the table, basically. Shit. I hope that's not where this is headed, but I don't know, man. I don't have a lot of confidence in organizational stability right now. I don't know where that would come from. AZN Rice. Thank you. At least Julius is smiling again. You're getting a thumbs down. Saving grace. Jay, what's going on, Jay? There's not a single GM who would pick RJ over a guy like Mathurin, who, as a rookie, already scores at a higher efficiency and creates his own shots. Yeah, that should go without saying. And again, I've always been pegged as an RJ hater because I'm trying to point out, like, he's not in the same category as these other dudes who just can, like, it's an offensive league. Look at the numbers. The numbers are not reverting back. The numbers continue to go up. You need to be able to score. You need to be able to put pressure on a defense. And if you're not going to put an immense amount of pressure on the defense, aside from centers is kind of a different category. But if you're a perimeter player and you're not going to put an immense amount of pressure on the defense, then when you have the ball, then you need to be automatic as an off-ball player, or you need to be one of the best defenders in the sport. And shit, Matisse Thybulle is recognized as one of, like, if not the best perimeter defender in basketball. And the guy can't get in the fucking rotation because of the offensive question marks that surround his game. RJ ain't Matisse Thybulle on defense. He ain't close. And it's like, he does the things that he does, and he gets downhill and makes some and he misses some, misses a lot. He's kind of consistent from three. Not in the same conversation. Not in the same conversation. Colin Reardon, what's going on, Colin? I just want a direction. Well, you might be getting one pretty soon. It's not up. Buzzer beater. The ship be sinking. I love it. I needed that one tonight. Shout out to anybody who got old enough to get that. I'm not old enough to get the reference, but all right. Let me rephrase that. I'm not old enough to have been there for the reference, but great reference. Dom Cappuccini, what's going on, Dom? If Grimes is okay for garbage time, then he should be good for important minutes soon. He will. He'll be in there. Again, Grimes is going to play. If his two-way play can't right the starting five ship, then what else? Nothing's going to right the starting five. Let's RJ Barrett and Julius Randle have to not be in the bottom 10% of league-wide shooters at their positions. Be in the 35th percentile. Fuck. I mean, anything's better than this. I mean, seriously, there will be people out there, and I hate to get this. There will be people out there who'll be like, well, RJ got 20 points on 17 shots. He had a good night. Go look at the average stat line, not for like the best NBA players, but like average NBA, like good, solid offensive players. And go look at how many points they get versus how many shots they take. And the fact that we, at this point, are looking at, 20 points on 17 shots. Okay, RJ had a pretty decent night. That's because that is a decent night for RJ. There's the biggest fucking indictment on this guy that I could possibly think of. Blue Diamond Gym. RJ, Brunson, Randall being big money guys is a disaster. Again, I have zero issue with the Brunson contract. Brunson contract is going to be fine. I think RJ's contract will be okay. I hope. Jacob Slavitt. This is more of the same stuff. I think it's safe to say we are in purgatory right now. You need to win games to be in purgatory. We need a significant rotation change soon, or someone needs to be benched. We can't have a repeat of last season. Hashtag 53 migraines. Man, I have a funny, I hope I'm wrong. I have such a bad feeling about where this is headed. Such a bad feeling. I'll say this. They better hope they don't win fucking 37 games this year. If you're going to be bad, or at least you're not going to be like a fun, feisty, like, oh, man, I know they're a playing team, but I really don't feel like playing the Knicks in the first round. I hope they get bounced. If you're going to be that, fine. Live in mediocrity. But don't be 36 or 37 wins. That's nobody needs that. Busy. Tibbs trying to get fired or what? Nah, he believes what he believes. And he's going to stick with it. Dan Hidalgo, Knox, Ntilikina, Barrett, Obi. And to an extent, Reddish. Not trading for Mitchell. Tired of us going for the what-if players. Need guys with NBA skills. I mean, look, I got on him last year. My boy, friend of the pod, Zach Lowe. I got on him last year when he said on his podcast, he's like, man, Darius Garland, Knicks fans are, they're kicking themselves with that. And I said, no, not today, sir. I said Garland's very good. Is Garland a better player than RJ? Yes. But there's still a lot of promise here. Man, I don't know how that one's going to work out. But they had that there. That was a trade down. They had it for them. Didn't do it. Obi, we'll see what happens when he gets a bigger opportunity. I think he will eventually. Not Tyrese Halliburton. Ntilikina, Knox, we don't even need to talk about the guys that were passed up to draft those players. Talk about two different front offices now, but still. Andrew, what's going on, Andrew? How do you weigh stability Leon's been preaching? It's not stability. Stability is okay, coaching, roster continuity. It's not stable if everybody has universally turned against the coach. I don't think the players have, but who knows? And if the roster that the continuity you get, the continuity of the roster is not good continuity. I don't know. I don't know where he's going to turn. I really don't. Guys are just seems not good enough. They don't have enough talent. They don't have skill. Bernard Richardson, what's going on, Bernard? One of the Thompson twins is going to look real nice on this roster next year. Yeah, maybe. Congrats on WynnBET KFS squad. Earned and deserved. Yes, thank. We love our friends at WynnBET. Take advantage of the offers. Next game you want to bet on the Knicks. My understanding from reading, I read, shout out to Sam Vecini, who put up his I think first mock draft of the season on The Athletic a week or so ago. One of the Thompson twins is significantly better. Not significantly better, I shouldn't say that, but has kind of separated himself from the other one. So my understanding of this draft, if we're really going to start talking about this, which is fucking unbelievable, is you got Wembanyama is in a tier of his own, then Scoot is in a tier of his own, and then you got Thompson as emerging as a clear number 3, although I guess the kid in Arkansas, who I apologize, I don't remember his name, pretty solid number 4. And then I think after that top 4, it gets a little bit more, uncertain, but somebody probably emerged. Somebody always emerges. But this is a draft that's going to change the fortunes of certainly 2 NBA teams, and maybe more than that. So we'll see. D Zilla, what's going on, D again? Can the team invest in player fusion technology to take 2 players and make a more complete player? Morph Mitch's defense and rebounding with iHeart's offense. RJ with Reddish's athleticism. Obi with Randall's minutes. Yeah, that would be nice, man. That would be nice. I wish I would. Guy Huber, then. To be clear, the general sentiment isn't that a new head coach would turn us into contenders. It's about leaning into smarter choices with roster and young guys. I'm curious, other than Fournier, who I think there's a very real possibility that Fournier could see his minutes evaporate because he is 4 months away or 5 months away or whatever it is from becoming an expiring contract. It comes down to Randall for me. Grimes is going to play. Quickly is going to play. RJ obviously is going to play. This is more a Randall Obi thing than anything else. And you want to tell me Quickly's role is directly related to Fournier, and if Fournier is playing no minutes, then Quickly all of a sudden gets 30 minutes a game. Okay, fine. Is Quickly going to and here's why, and this is going to make me unpopular for saying this. Is Quickly going to change how he's viewed or change his value around the league or change the fortunes of this team if he suddenly goes to playing 30 or 32 minutes a night? Maybe. I don't know. The kid had 16 rebounds tonight? He could do some things. He could do some things at the same time. He was 3 for 8 and he scored 11 points, got to the line 4 times. That's important. That's a skill. That's a skill that he has. That's important. I got to see our Deadeye shooting backup guard make a few more shots. Yeah. And then there's the Obi thing, which we've talked about a lot. Drazov, what's going on, Drazov? Hey, John, first time, long time. I am not enchanted by the Knicks looking like they forgot basketball fundamentals. Your thoughts? Hashtag 53 wins. Yeah, I'm not enchanted by it either. It's a culture test. It is a culture test. How do they come out on Friday night? That's what I want to see. How do they come out on Friday? Massive, massive, massive moment for this franchise and for this team. And no, for the franchise. Doug Grossberg, what's going on, Doug? Think it was a mistake to not pursue DeJounte. He cost 2 unprotected firsts in 25 and 27 and a swap in 26. Feels light. No? Interesting question. I don't think they were ever really in on DeJounte, but who knows? I don't know, man. I got to tell you, I don't like to pair with Jalen Brunson. I don't know. That's not going to be the thing that keeps me up at night, I guess I'll say. Maybe they should have, and maybe he's worth it. For me, I'll lose more sleep over Mitchell than Murray. That's just me, though, and I understand if you feel differently. Right now, by the way, again, looking at where this franchise is at, the notion that they should have traded away any unprotected picks for any player, I don't know. Kevin Danishevsky with one more. I wonder if the Knicks give Randall a phantom injury at some point. A team may be willing to take him on with 2 years contract left and this with 6 man in mind. Yeah, well, no, he has. Now you're making me think I'm crazy. I'm pretty sure that Randall has, he has 2 more guaranteed years after this one. No, sorry, the last year is a player option. He has 3 more years. Well, I'm going nuts. I'm losing my mind. That's what this team does to me. Yeah, man, Kev, I got bad news for you. I don't. You're not getting off Randall unless you're taking back something that's probably not great. I don't think, at least. Maybe I'm wrong. But who knows? Parrish, Duggar, Tibbs had the nerve to play RJ at the 4 and Randall at the 5. Did he? Did we get Randall at the 5 minutes? Did I miss that? Did I don't know. I may have missed that if he did that tonight. Requiem Gaming, The Remnant. Oh, here we go. Hello from the land of enchantment. I am not too enchanted. Why do I waste my time and emotion on this team that doesn't care as much as I do? I've been asking myself that question for the better part of 30 years. If I get an answer, I'll let you know. Thank you for the contribution, by the way. Haitian Ferg with one more. Thank you again, Haitian. Van Gundy said it best. Bad front offices always fire the coach to show change, but it's only lipstick on a pig. If Tibbs goes, I don't trust the front office beyond that. Every coach needs a balanced roster. Yeah, I think you're speaking more my language, which is that I don't think firing Tibbs is going to solve the problems on this team, while also acknowledging that Tibbs' decision-making is maddening at times and that maybe he is not the best coach for this team. That's not like, if he gets fired, I guarantee you the universal response around the NBA will not be that dissimilar to the response from when Fizdale was fired. It will not be dissimilar. And if anything, I think it might be worse because, like, that was a shit show, obviously. So there was that part of it. But at the same time, like, Fizdale, like, nobody knew if he was a good coach, and like there was, who knows? It's like Nash now. If Tibbs gets fired, immediately it's going to be like, well, Tibbs didn't, sign Evan Fournier and like give Julius Randle the extension and not trade RJ Barrett for Donovan Mitchell. Now, there's going to be some pushback against that when people are like, well, actually, Tibbs is the one who emboldened Randall, and Tibbs is the one who refused to take the ball away from Randall, and so on and so forth. And that will have some validity to it. But I'm just telling you right now, everybody, you guys will be dancing in the streets. It's going to get ugly when they fire him, but maybe that doesn't matter. Akiva F, what's going on? Would they dump Randall before firing Tibbs? I would. That's a good question. I don't know where they're dumping Randall. They're going to give Tibbs a decent leash, but they know I could tell you from conversations that I've had recently, they know the roster is not where it needs to be. They know the roster is not functional. It's a matter of what do they do and how soon can they do it, and are they going to weather the storm with Tibbs before they could do it? I don't think there's no Julius Randle trade out there that's going to be out there anytime soon. It's just not. Thanks, Kiva. Next up, Jeremy Chase. What's going on, Jeremy? Hey, John, cheer up. At least we're not the Nets. Yeah, I mean, I don't have to actively hate my team. I'm frustrated by them. I don't hate them. I still like these players for the most part. I may not love some of them, but I still like them. And I still think, you can talk yourself into good outcomes. And I'm not embarrassed of them in terms of like the fabric of the team, like I would be if I was a Net fan. Woo! Man, I just saw a highlight of Tyler Hero's game winner. That boy could shoot. Thanks, Jeremy. The main connects. Who will be the next disgruntled star wanting out? I don't know. We know all the guys to keep our eye on. Keep an eye on Philly. See what's going on there. But that's not going to be. I don't think that'll be a summer thing if it's Embiid. That would be where I would have my eye, if any place. Jacob Friali, what's going on, Jacob? Forgive me if my memory is wrong, but isn't this the same problem with Tibbs? I got him ran out of Minnesota, made the playoffs early, but failed to adjust and regressed, while allowing Jimmy, now Randall, to stunt the growth of young talent. Very different story. Jimmy Butler was not the problem in Minnesota. If anything, Jimmy Butler was too much of the solution. And that team was during Tibbs' second year there, when Jimmy was healthy, which was for most of the year, they were like a 3 seed. They were they had the third best record in the West for I think a lot of that year, third or fourth best record in the West for a lot of that year, in a really, really, really tough Western Conference. And then Jimmy got hurt late, and they fell out of it, and they fell down to the 8 seed or the 7 seed, whatever it was, and then they went out like a whimper. And then Jimmy, over that summer, took one look around him, and specifically at Karl Anthony Towns, and was like, "Get me the fuck off this roster. I can't win with this guy." And Tibbs stuck his head in the sand and was like, "I'm not trading you. You're my best player. We'll be fine." And that's when everything went to shit. No, not really a comparable situation. And by the way, even after that disaster, that team was 19-21 when they fired Tibbs. And there were other things going on there too, like with the owner and like his wife not really approving of Tibbs' sideline decorum. I think that was something at play. Lunas, Emirate, what's going on, Lunas? 2 things. 1, do you think Tibbs may be faster to change the rotation and start Grimes fast with him on the hot seat? Yes, absolutely. 2, thoughts on the Nets? LOL. Sorry, late on my way back from the game. All good, man. Thank you. Thoughts on the Nets? The Nets are an embarrassment to professional sports. I said my piece on Kyrie at the end of today's pod, whatever it was. No, sorry, the end of Monday's pod. So feel free to go listen to that. I don't know. They're an embarrassment. That's my thought on the Nets. Different type of embarrassment than we are. And same and similar in some ways. Robert Cross with another one. First time, long time, John. Do we think that Cutlets would be a good addition to the Knicks front office? Absolutely. If so, what happens to Worldwide West? I don't know, man. Again, Worldwide West might be our lead basketball decision maker right now. So that's a little scary thought. James Choi, what's going on? James, the process went out the window as soon as this team started losing. I'm not a fan of Tibbs, but he's not the biggest problem. Redacted is. Again, I think you could argue that Tibbs coached a terrible game. I think you could argue that there are reasons for considering a change. I think you could argue all these things. But I agree with you. He is not the biggest problem. The structure of this roster is the biggest problem. And Julius Randle is a big part of that. Joseph J., what's going on, Joseph? Did Tibbs lose the locker room? Nah, I don't think he lost the locker room. Let me finish reading your comment, and then I'll talk more about that. They look like they heard the same blown lead halftime speech from last year, uninspired. Recall Evans' coaching comments last year. I think the kids are realizing it now. I definitely think that there is some. He's lost. If he had a grip on them at any point in time, I think he's lost the grip. Because what tonight showed me was a team that didn't stick to the process when the going got tough. And that's the test of culture, is do you stick to what the coach is preaching when the going gets tough? Do you continue to put in the extra effort when the going gets tough? And they did not do that. Now, will that change under Johnny Bryant? Again, I don't know. I don't know because the players, if the coach gets fired, I think the players will still have the same suspicions that maybe they had coming off of this summer, which is that, hey man, is this a pit stop or are we really building something here? And that would be my biggest concern. That is my biggest concern about the roster right now, is everybody looking around being like, all right, it's been fun. It's been cool. The We Here season was great, but and starting to look around and wondering where their next stop is going to be. And like you need such a strong culture to guard against that if you're going through a tough time. And like Jalen Brunson just got here, to expect him to play that role, that's asking a lot. Which leads you to, well, is it time for a reset? I don't know. Tim Dury, what's going on, Tim? I'm worried about Obi's rebounding. Feels like he's more focused on a fast break dunk. Yeah, the guy, that's the other part of it. It's like we all want to see more Obi, but he's not a perfect player by far. He's not going to solve all their issues, that's for sure. Thanks, Tim. Ryan Wong, let's end with positivity. IQ, 11 points and 16 rebounds, plus 7 assists. Did he have 7 assists tonight? Good for him if he did. I didn't even see that. Yeah, I don't know if anybody's getting stars of the game after this debacle, but I guess maybe plus 7 for the game. Thank you, Andrew. I'm sorry. Plus 7 for the game. That makes more sense. Yeah, IQ would get the closest thing to a star. Thanks, Ryan. Daniel Carlisto. What's going on, Daniel? First time super chatter, long-time fan, John. Thank you, Daniel, for chiming in. Appreciate your contribution. Quickly was always my favorite, but lately he's been taking bad shots and not making them. Again, I love Quickly. I think he might have been my favorite Knick coming into this season. I don't know. He was up there. He was in the conversation. He has to make some more shots. He could do a lot of things well. I want to see him make a few more shots. I'm asking for a lot. I'm just, again, what he's doing right now, even making the shots that he's making now and taking the shots that he's taking now, that's still a really good bench player. But like to expect him to be the guy that some of his like plus minus numbers suggest maybe he could be, and that there are certain segments of the fan base that certainly believe that he is, I think you just got to make some more shots. Forgotten NYC, what's going on? What would be the price if need to attach a pick to Jew? Julius Randle. Like it's not. Don't look at it like that because like teams like nobody's attaching multiple picks just to dump a contract, right? What you're going to see if and when he gets traded is he gets traded for similarly not good money, or they attach a pick or they attach multiple picks to him and he brings back a quality player, a quality veteran, not a star, but a quality veteran. That's what I think. And then, even if you go under that assumption, like I just don't know. I just don't know who's really doing it right now. I mean, man, DeAndre Ayton's out right now in Phoenix. Like they look pretty good even without him. Randall and like multiple firsts for DeAndre Ayton. Does that sound like something you want to do? I don't know about that. Like, but like putting aside whether that would make any sense basketball wise or whether the value would be right or not, like that's the sort of deal I could see, and I don't think they would do that, to be clear. Thanks. Robert Cross, first time, long time, John. Let's cut to the chase here. We need to start giving more minutes to other players. You think, Robert? OBIQ others, I don't care anymore. Hashtag 53 wins. Yeah, I mean, you don't care. A lot of fans don't care. A lot of fans just want to see the kids play more, especially after a night like this. And I don't blame them. That maybe a coaching change gets you more of what you want to see. I don't know. CT Pittman, what's going on, CT? John, what's your starting lineup that maximizes this team's potential? I'm over these letdowns. Oh, boy. See, this is part of the problem. I don't have a great answer for that question. My starting lineup that maxes this team's potential, like, I think I would start Hartenstein. I would start there. I would sacrifice the defense because I think I just need the injection of spacing, shooting, playmaking, all of those things. He's still he's a good offensive rebounder, and he's not a bad defensive center. He's just not Mitch. It's the defensive rebounding that kills you. So you try to make up for it in other ways. Obviously, start Brunson. Goes without saying. Quickly could probably help you on the defensive glass. Brunson quickly, a little small there. A little small. Do you then, I guess you have to, start RJ, right? Starting RJ. And then I guess I'm starting Obi Toppin, right? Now that lineup is going to be, if you're starting Obi and Hartenstein, you're getting killed on the glass, murdered on the glass. So I don't love that. But then, okay, so am I starting Randall? So Randall, Hartenstein, Brunson, RJ, quickly. I guess that's what I'm probably doing. And I'm seeing how that looks. So Hartenstein and quickly in for Fournier and Mitch. And I would see how that goes. And I don't feel great about it. Brian Martinez, what's going on, Brian? Biggest problem with this team is the logjam. We have two different teams almost in one, the bench and the starters. You need to make a trade soon. No competent team has a minutes problem with its players. Yeah, it's an issue. The best players aren't good enough, and the backups are probably too good for their roles. It's well said. And then you throw in the structural problems on top of it. It is not a well-constructed team in any way, shape, or form. And with that, we are done. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Let's see what Andrew has to say here. Tough loss, but misery loves company. New pod with a special guest on Friday. Yes. And then we're back again before and after the Sixers game. Hashtag WynnBET. Yes, thank you to our friends at WynnBET for sponsoring the pre and post game show. Again, if you want to take advantage, sign up today to receive a special offer. Bet $100, win $100. Download Bet Win. All you got to do is download the WynnBET app or visit www.wynnbet, that's WYNNBET.com to start winning. Think that's it. Andrew, if I got anything, are we good?
We're good. Trooper tonight got through 90 minutes. And I know you're not feeling great, and this is very eulogetic tonight, if that's a word.
Yeah, eulogetic after 7 games. What does that tell you?
Right?
I'm not pressing the mute button while I blow my nose this time. I've done it the previous.
You're fine. You're fine. We'll wrap up soon. Do you mind if I do you care at all about any other sport right now?
No, why?
Okay. The Astros are 1 out away from a no-hitter in the World Series.
Oh, okay. It's fun.
There you go. So Philly's about to have a bad luck then. Maybe they'll have more bad luck on Friday.
Yeah.
That didn't help you at all, did it?
No. No, honestly, Andrew, I'll be honest. This is not necessarily rational. This is not reasonable. This is definitely letting this loss take on more importance than it should. But I'm really at the point of like, am I really going to hate them going on a long losing streak right now and this thing falling apart?
I can't blame you for feeling that way. And you know my thoughts on tanking. But I don't see the point if this is all just to get 42 wins. And that is quite literally the ceiling, you know?
No, but if I thought that this was I'm starting to, again, I was all for, even, it doesn't even need to be 4, just win a number of games. Yeah, get 39, get 40, guys play well, team looks good, the juju's good, the vibe's good. You still got all the picks, a young player or 2 pops. You make the trade, the eventual trade whenever it comes, and then you go from there, right? And then you're in a better position than you were this summer, and so on and so forth. The way they played tonight makes me think that even that was maybe far-fetched to think that they could be that good. Because the fact of the matter is, and I don't think I've said this tonight, there is not a team in basketball right now that I think the Knicks would have beaten the way they played tonight.
Not the second half, no.
Just put together the whole,
I hear you.
That effort. And everybody's playing hard. Everybody's trying hard. Like, who's the bottom of the league? I mean, yeah, you could laugh and say the Lakers and the Nets. Fine. Put them aside. Like, is it Houston? Okay, fine. I guess Houston really stinks. Sure, and like teams will start to tank on the whole thing, but just the fact that we're talking about a team after 7 games and we can't sit here and be like, oh, well, they're definitely better than these 10 teams. No, what the fuck? No, absolutely not. And with just zero confidence, can I say that?
Shout out Kevin Danishevsky. I do think Brunson is such a positive. Tough to say that after tonight, but I don't put tonight on him,
Putting aside the team's draft picks, again, I don't know when our next mailbag, when I'm going to get a chance to redo the asset rankings, but if someone wanted to tell me that Jalen Brunson's the best asset on the team in terms of a player, again, at least there's zero question that if another team, could fit his cap space or could fit his salary into their cap number, there's not a team in the league that wouldn't want Jalen Brunson on their squad. What other Nick can you say that about? Yeah, sure. Okay.
I was gonna say, go ahead.
You say about Quickly, right?
Yeah,
like Obi, like Grimes. But some teams are gonna look at those guys and be like, yeah, maybe he could be like an 8th, 9th man for us. Like, is any team confidently looking at any of those other players and being like, oh, well, that's a piece. We get our hands on that piece. Watch what we could do with them. There's been some noise about maybe that is Obi. Okay, I'll be curious to see it if and when that transpires. I don't know. Really not feeling great about this tonight. We'll see what happens.
with good reason too.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, John, and thank you to everybody watching. Robert Cross also in the chat. He sent a donation and didn't have a comment, but right under that has 4 comments in a row. This is an announcement for the Sad Sacks to join Patreon Town Hall tomorrow. That should be fun. Jeez, I'm glad I didn't actually wager anything. It's going to be dangerous out there in Knicks Twitter land, and KFS needs you. And then he yells, "Get out of here, Kevin." Because I don't think he wants Kevin to come to the town hall.
All right. Thank you, Robert, for the shout out. Thanks to everybody watching, and we will be back soon. Peace out.